Three, two, one.
Here we go!
Might be the only brown guy on earth named Joe Bob.
That is actually her name, Joe Bob.
Live from the dingy bunker. Thanks so much for tuning in today. It is Monday, February 12th, the year of our Lord 2023. So glad you could join us. A lot to catch you up on, including some Super Bowl highlights, lowlights, weird lights. The Biden administration put out weird tweets. Conservatives responded in a weird way. Taylor Swift, all of that. And maybe you don't care about that, but it's actually important and worth talking about, at least I think. Lloyd Austin, the Secretary of Defense, is back in the hospital. He did tell somebody this time, and a Boston family actually took the state's offer to host illegals in their house. How do you think that's going to go? All that and more to get to. Again, thanks so much for tuning in. Got to get to this first because this is I don't even know what to do with this. The Super Bowl happened last night, and increasingly the commentary surrounding it on all sides of the political spectrum, not that it's a political event, but all sides of the political spectrum went nuts. Conservatives decided that they were going to get mad about literally everything at the Super Bowl, which was quite irritating because that's exactly what a lot of us are accused of all the time. And, you know, I'm not going to belabor this point, but what's the point? What's the point of constantly getting mad at something all the time rather than just going, okay, and adjusting your sails accordingly if, in fact, it makes any difference, which oftentimes it doesn't. But regardless, the Super Bowl happened yesterday. A couple things that I would like to mention. And as I just went on a small little tirade about why conservatives shouldn't get mad at everything, instead, or maybe this is just me getting mad in my own way. I don't know about you, but I actually turned the TV off during the, what is it, the Black National Anthem. When they decided to sing that at the beginning, I literally I made sure I was logged off of the actual channel itself and then turned the TV off for about 3 minutes. And the only reason I did that is not because I'm like furious about it, but because I would like the ratings agencies, Nielsen's probably specifically, that looks at the demographics of who was watching and the numbers of how many viewers the Super Bowl got, I would like CBS and all of the other networks to see that people stopped watching at that point. Again, I don't know if a lot of people did that, and I understand that my one person doing that probably isn't going to make a huge difference. But at the end of the day, if everybody who is as irritated at that idiotic thing that we are apparently pretending that we're two separate nations, I, for one, think black people are fully fledged American citizens. I don't know why the news media pretends that they aren't, which is horribly racist, but the idea that there are two national anthems, one for black people and one for everyone else, is horribly offensive and incredibly racist, and yet they continue to put it on my TV. I refuse to watch, and so hopefully more people kind of continue on that trend so that at least somebody sees, hey, we are going to stand up for our African-American brothers and sisters in this country and say that they are full-fledged citizens and don't need their own national anthem, again, as the racist, bigoted networks continue to do. So maybe by making that small little adjustment, turning the TV off when that is going on. Maybe will make some difference. Probably not, but who knows? Maybe if we all get to do it. But I think this is the biggest thing, politically speaking, at the Super Bowl that I would like to point out and reiterate. We've talked about this before. We talked about it last year. But I don't think that Joe Biden skipping out on the customary presidential Super Bowl interview is getting near enough attention, because it is insane. And I don't want to be hyperbolic here, but as a person who has run political campaigns, you look for any, and I mean any, opportunity to get your candidate or yourself, whoever's running, in front of the media as much as possible so that you can connect with voters, because that's the whole point of running an election, is to get elected, and you get elected by connecting with voters. The fact that Joe Biden skipped out on the presidential Super Bowl interview is insane if the objective is getting elected. So here's what's happening. Every year, the Super Bowl does a presidential interview, and it's usually just a floofy, pretty big nothing, honestly. But at the same time, it's the biggest audience in the country on any given day, any given sporting event. It's the biggest audience the president will ever have, right? So, during an election year in which he himself is running for president and has issues himself to push, decided to skip out on a softball interview with a friendly network in front of the biggest audience he will ever see. Why? Well, the answer seems pretty clear and pretty abundantly evident as to why. His team is scared to death that he is going to have a bad calf care or a true dash double to pressure moment, which honestly may be a smart move. But if it is a smart move to be that concerned about that particular thing happening when every single other variable is aligned in you do this interview, doesn't that point to a bigger other problem that's going on? If the president is so incapable to, again, do a softball interview at a friendly network when he has agenda items to push while running for president in an election year in which he is running in front of the biggest audience he will ever have, shouldn't that say something? I don't know. To me, it is absolutely insane that he skips out on that interview, and I don't think that's been given enough attention by really anybody. It is from running a campaign status, it is absolutely bananas. I don't really want to talk about the prop bets. Prop bets were something that we had last week if we were going to be on, but some of the prop bets were crazy. You know what? I should go look and see who won some of those, because I do think that's kind of entertaining. But this, I guess, last thing on the Super Bowl, and I'm fully aware that I am beating this Taylor Swift horse just completely dead. Back to the earlier point of conservatives just getting mad at everything. You know, not getting upset is not an endorsement that you like something. I think that should be the message to conservatives everywhere overall. You don't have to get fuming mad and take to Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or your whatever social media platform of your choice and decide that you hate it just because you don't like it. I happen to be a Taylor Swift fan. We've talked about this. I happen to be a Taylor Swift fan. I like her music. I think it's catchy. I'm not a huge fan of her politics. That shouldn't matter at all. But at the same time, people who don't like her specifically because of the music is fine too. I don't care. Why would I care what your musical preference is or what you can or cannot get past from an artist deciding to share what the obvious artist political belief is? Why would I care? But the fact that people get so furious about it, I don't think is helping our side of the aisle. There was the Taylor Swift thing. There was also the He Gets Us ads, which is, look, from a biblically sound perspective, I understand why people would be like, this is not Jesus. And you may have no idea what I'm talking about. But if you're kind of attached to this like conservative media world, that was the other thing that a lot of people that I agree with a lot went nuts on. And I understand it. If you're looking at it from like a strictly a biblical this and that, this is what Jesus did, this is what he wouldn't do, this is I get it. There's arguments to be had about that. But I think it was Michael Knowles that pointed out, just remember, those ads aren't targeted to us. And if they cause some atheist, agnostic, liberal, whatever, to at least get some sort of inkling towards Christianity, despite the fact that it was not biblically sound, let's just say that, fine. Isn't that still a win? But again, we have all the people on our side just getting so freaking mad about everything all the time. And I just don't think that that's helping. Last thing on the whole Taylor Swift thing, and I posted this on Instagram because now I'm getting mad at everybody else getting mad. You don't have to like her, you don't have to like her politics, but she's a billionaire entrepreneur who's provided a good and/or service to people who want to buy it, a free market capitalist at her core. Her dating Travis Kelce and being shown on the TV, if you look at the trajectory of her lifestyle, it has been weaselly weak man, weaselly weak man, weaselly weak man, and all of a sudden upgrades to a hyper-masculine NFL athlete. And again, maybe you don't like Travis Kelce either because of all the Pfizer commercials. That's fine, I get that. But the free market capitalist who hates George Soros, who, in my opinion, had the most based lyric talking about, did you hear my covert narcissism? I disguise as altruism like some kind of congressman, which is freaking awesome, regardless of your idea of her. That's a good line. Congressmen are liars is basically what she's saying. Upgrading to a masculine dude, who cares who she endorsed? That's exactly what we want to see in the culture. In other words, take the win. I'll stop because there's more important things to get to, and I'll just go on in that. But at the end of the day, look, it is my belief that people with a more conservative outlook on the world and lifestyle are happier and going to continue to be happier. Maybe we should act like it. I wasn't planning on lecturing folks on this Monday morning. Sorry if that was a little bit much, but I don't know, just a wild, I don't know, world to be looking at. All right, let's move on to this because I think this is interesting. Talking about politics again. Oh, geez, is this not? Are we not? What's happening here? There we go. Talking about politics again. This is interesting. You know, I've made it pretty abundantly clear of the issues that I have with Donald Trump and his personality and the way that he looks at things. I think it was Andrew Klavan last week that had put it really, really well. I'm not gonna explain. You should go listen to the Andrew Klavan show, talking about Trump and what he represents. While also saying if it's Trump and Biden, I will vote for Trump as many times as I can get away with. So that's beside the point. But given that, having to defend against some of the wild, just flat out misguided nonsense that is put out by the Biden camp and so many other people on the lefty side of the aisle, having to defend something that shouldn't have to be defended because it shouldn't be a talking point to begin with, is getting tiresome. I don't know. I want you to watch this clip. This is a clip from the Biden campaign. in which they played a clip of Trump, I think in South Carolina, saying things that are objectively true. I'm going to read you the tweet that Joe Biden put out with that, but I want you to watch this clip. Check it out.
One of the presidents of a big country stood up and said, well, sir, if we don't pay and we're attacked by Russia, will you protect us? I said, you didn't pay? You're delinquent? He said, yes, let's say that happened. No, I would not protect you. In fact, I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want. You got to pay.
Maybe you don't like the syntax. Maybe you don't like the phrasing of it. It's just... So you didn't pay for a service, but then when that service is needed, you're expecting that service to be delivered to you? How would that make any sense? Anybody who doesn't agree with that, in my mind, is a crazy person. That's not how the world works. If I call up and order a pizza, and the pizza delivery guy, if I call up and order a pizza, and the pizza delivery guy shows up to my house, and I say, I'm not going to pay, but are you still going to give me the pizza? The pizza guy's going to be like, no, that's not how transactions work. If you don't pay your fair share, Aren't Democrats super excited about that phrasing? If you don't pay your fair share, then you can't expect to get the product that you were paying for. Now, NATO is a little bit complicated. I think you're required to spend 2%, maybe it's 4% of your GDP on military and defense budgets. And sometimes people get away with the accounting maneuver that is, well, this is defense, and they don't actually spend it on defense. And the bottom line is, we pay, in terms of paying for NATO, relative to our GDP, we pay at least 2 times, sometimes even 3 times as much as all of the other NATO allies. Because they don't do what they promised to do according to how NATO is set up. So if, 1, we're overpaying, 2, they're not paying at all, you're telling me that despite the fact that they didn't contribute anything, if they get attacked, we have to send Americans to fight and die in that war? How would that even make sense? The ending part of that, where he says, I would encourage that, I don't take that literally at all. He's on a stage winging it, which, sometimes that gets him in trouble. And oftentimes, you get clips like that, where it's like, yeah, I would encourage it, sure. The Biden camp then tweeted, Trump says he would encourage Russia to attack NATO allies. And then quotes, I said I would not protect NATO allies. In fact, I would encourage Russia to do whatever the hell they want. That last line, would I have said that? No, probably not. But again, he's an old guy running on a populist platform, kind of just winging it. That part I'm not concerned about. What I'm concerned about is the fact that apparently the other side of the political spectrum will just allow themselves to be financially abused and continue to return to the abuser, or continue to aid the abuser at the cost of the American taxpayer and American military lives. If that is actually the stance that the Biden administration is taking, oh yeah, NATO, you guys don't have to pay any of the agreed upon military defense budget. Yeah, you're good. Well, we got this. And then if in fact, God forbid, a NATO ally is attacked, we're going to send troops there, again, to fight and die in a war? Yeah, if that is the stance that the administration currently is taking, which it appears that they do, because they're bashing Trump for saying, no, if they don't pay, I wouldn't, no. Why would I do that? That's crazy. If that's the stance the administration is taking, which it appears that they are, holy cow, that is a much bigger problem than I think people would realize. That's enough of that. Again, defending Trump on stuff is such a weird paradox nowadays. It's just like some stuff the guy says. I'm just like, dude, there's so many personal problems I would actually have. But again, I would vote for him as many times as I possibly could get away with if it were him and Biden, which appears like it looks to be. So that's that. This, I think, is interesting. Secretary Lloyd Austin is back in the hospital. Really, that's not news and wouldn't be news, except for the fact that Secretary Lloyd Austin made a bunch of headlines a couple months ago, a month ago, when he was in the hospital for, 7 days and just didn't tell anybody? The initial secrecy around the 2-week hospitalization, I'm reading from Axios here, I believe, was criticized by both lawmakers and by both parties, some calling for him to resign. He's due to testify over the matter later this month. So in February, Secretary Austin is going to testify in front of Congress as to why he didn't tell anybody he's going to the hospital. But he went into the hospital again around 2:20 on Sunday and transferred all of his duties and obligations over to his secretary, or the secretary of the secretary, or the joint chair of the Joint Chiefs of Staffs was notified and got moved over to this lady, Kathleen Hicks, who's the second in command, who, again, remember, found out while she was in a beach in, I think, like Aruba on vacation, that, oh yeah, you're now Director Department of Defense. Again, this wouldn't be news except for the fact that the dude didn't tell anybody the last time he went into the hospital, and so I guess we should be thankful that he did tell someone this time. But also, I guess, well wishes. I hope he makes it out of there and recovers quickly, and can get back to whatever actual obligations he has, because nobody ever knows whether those departments actually have any sort of autonomy or they just run directly through the White House. Most people would suggest they run directly through the White House. So in which case, get well soon, Secretary Austin. Get back to doing nothing, because the administration dictates the entirety of their job. So that's all that is. That's really the entirety of that story. I don't know if I want to do the gyms. Let's do this, because I think this is interesting too, especially because it's kind of a follow-up on the story that we had a couple weeks ago. Do you remember, I want to say it was the Massachusetts governor who said, if you have room in your house, please consider having an illegal immigrant family stay in your house, which is an insane thing to say. And I thought, well, do they actually mean that? Or are they posturing in order to get the administration to actually do something about the border? I thought it was the latter, because there's no way that, one, anybody would want to do that, and two, it would get a ton of attention from the news media. Hey, Massachusetts is asking people to live in their house? I kind of thought, all right, is this actually an ask from them, or are they just trying to get the attention of the administration to stop an actual problem that they have in their towns and communities in their states? Well, if you recall, I went and looked to see, hey, are there any places on the internet that I can go find to actually do the thing that they're asking people to do, which is house illegal immigrants? And I found that no, you can't. Even the resources that they gave in the press conference, the lieutenant governor and the governor said, no, this is where you apply to sleep over in your house. I couldn't find it. It was impossible to find a place to sign up. Turns out I had to call, because this Boston family actually did the thing. And I want to play you this clip from one of the news stations over there. I think it's like 30 seconds long. And we'll discuss whether or not this is going to ultimately be a good political move, because that's what it is, or these people are going to be murdered in their sleep. Watch this.
Alan and Jessica Stokes called the state to sign up to be a host family. It took less than an hour for the displaced migrants to be dropped off at their door.
I gotta get sheets on the bed. How many people are coming? Right. Where are they from? What ages? We really knew nothing.
The need is so clearly overwhelming.
The family of four, who didn't want to go on camera, had been sleeping at Logan Airport. The parents and two kids journeyed from Chile to Texas, then Massachusetts, and there are so many stories like it.
It boggles the mind that there are so many hundreds of those stories.
I like how the verbiage there is, well, they journeyed from Chile to Texas, then to Massachusetts. No, they illegally entered the country and then got moved because the Texas governor is trying to prove a freaking point to the dumb administration that this is a problem for the entire country, not just the border states. Anyways, regardless of that, Can you imagine being the state and saying, holy cow, somebody actually wants to take us up on this offer? Apparently they had to call. Again, I looked and tried to find a way to be able to actually sign up for this. I would never actually do it. I don't even live in Massachusetts. But I looked for a way just to see if this was a legit ask or a publicity stunt. And it turns out there was no way for me to do that. Apparently you have to call the state. These people probably called the state and badgered the state saying, hey, we want to house illegal immigrants, which probably put the state in a conundrum of, well, shoot, this wasn't supposed to be a legitimate thing. And now that somebody's calling and asking, we can't say, no, we don't do that, because there are people sleeping everywhere. Like I said, people were sleeping on the Logan Airport floor. Why they were sleeping somewhere in our country, who knows? But can you imagine the stress that had to cause with the bureaucrat who was trying to probably push a political point actually being taken up on an offer that they didn't seriously give? It had to be nuts, right? Because you have to think, first of all, holy cow, somebody actually wants to do this? Those people must be crazy, or virtue signaling, or trying to show off at their next, we have an illegal immigrant family in our house, so that makes us better than you, at their, whatever their dinner, their next social function is going to be. But also, the bureaucrat in their mind probably was thinking, we cannot get these people killed. Because that would make everyone look bad. It would make our political party look bad, it would make our state government look bad, and it would make the president look even worse than we were trying to make him look. So let's find the most non-threatening family and put them with these crazy people that just let people stay in their house. Now, I don't know if this is like in their actual house or in like a back house. If these people, these Boston residents, are allowing just random people to come into their house, well, honestly, next time I go to Boston, I have a place to crash for free, I guess. I could probably pass off as an illegal immigrant. I'll speak some gibberish language and pretend that, yeah, I don't speak English. No English? I'll have a free place to stay because these kind, open-hearted people are willing to accept random and complete strangers from a different country into their house to sleep for a night. I don't know, what a wild story. I hope these people remain safe. But anyways, it looks like we're having some streaming issues, probably an internet thing. Yeah, that'll do it for us today. Appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. I'll be honest, I'm not entirely sure what the trajectory of the live show is going to be. We may move to like a weekly thing, just because the travel with all of the other stuff I do has been wild. Very grateful for all of it, but we were gone for the last week. I'm going to be gone, another 2 weeks somewhere else for a while. Then just on the tour with Turning Point. So the show's getting increasingly difficult to do live, especially if we're just not around in the studio. But anyway, so that being said, I don't know what the long term of this ultimately looks like. Maybe it's a week-long kind of a once-a-week scripted type of thing. But regardless, I appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. If you haven't already, give me a follow on any of your social media platforms. Just type in JOBOB. You'll be able to find me pretty much anywhere. I am in, where are we going? Where tonight? Long Beach State University. Ask me any other information. I do not know. I'm pretty sure it's at 7 o'clock, but I'll be at Long Beach State University somewhere. You can go find the TPUSA chapter there if you'd like information to show up. It is not a comedy show. I think it was being billed as a comedy show. I have too much to say to just do the stand-up act. So I'll be there tonight. Let's see, March 6th, I'll be in North Carolina with Candace Owens. March 16th, I will be in Corona, California, but that show is pretty close to being sold out. And then later on in the month of March, myself, I think, March 18th, I'll be in San Diego with Charlie Kirk. March 19th, I will be in Pittsburgh with Candace Owens, among several other dates. I'll get those dates posted somewhere, and I know I usually say that and don't actually do it, but I really am going to make it actually do the thing that I say I'm going to do and post that somewhere. So anyways, really appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. We will see you tomorrow, same time, same place, at least for now. God bless America.